You know, we always hear about faith versus science, right? Like they're in some kind of epic showdown. But what if the story is a little different? What if science isn't trying to destroy religion, but is actually, changing the rules of the game for what it even means to believe? That's what we're digging into today. This really interesting idea that for any faith to survive in the modern world, it has to pass a brand new three-part test.
Okay, so take a look at this number 5,000. Seems like a long time, maybe. But when you think about the age of the Earth, or even how long humans have been around, it's nothing. And get this, 5,000 years is basically the entire history of organized religion as we know it. Kind of surprising, right?
So that just begs the question, doesn't it? If religion is such a newcomer on the human scene, how on earth did it manage to shape pretty much everything? We're talking civilizations, cultures, the day-to-day lives of billions of people. How did something so recent become so dominant?
So, what was the secret sauce? Well, religion's power has always been its ability to create order out of chaos. It gives us a framework, a map for how to live, a sense of our place in the cosmos. It answers those huge questions we all have, and that kind of mental and spiritual structure, it's incredibly powerful. But in our modern age, what counts as a valid framework is totally being put to the test.
See, in a world where you can pull up all of human knowledge on your phone, not all belief systems are created equal. They're being scrutinized like never before. And a new kind of litmus test is emerging for what can even be considered a true or relevant religion today, one that actually makes sense to a modern mind.
And this test, it really boils down to three simple but super tough conditions: scripture, logic, and proof. The argument is, if a belief system wants to be taken seriously today, it has to hit all three of these marks, no exceptions. Let's break them down. First up, scripture. This is pretty straightforward. There has to be a foundational text, a written record of the core teachings. It can't just be a story passed down or some vague feeling. There needs to be a concrete document you can actually point to, study, and reference. Next, you've got logic. And honestly, this is where things start to get tricky for a lot of traditional beliefs. The teachings can't just fly in the face of basic reason. They have to be consistent, they have to make sense. The whole "you just have to have faith" argument, well, it's not cutting it for a lot of people anymore.
And that brings us to the final hurdle. And it's a big one. Proof. The central claims of the religion have to be verifiable in some way. There's got to be some form of real evidence that shows what it teaches is actually true. And that is a huge departure from faith that's based only on a feeling or an old story.
So what happens if a belief system can't check all three of these boxes? Well, here's the really crucial part of the argument. If it fails the test, if it doesn't have scripture, logic, and proof, then it can't really be considered a true religion anymore. It gets reclassified as a pseudo-religion. Now, this whole idea, it's not just some abstract thought experiment. It's happening right now, in the middle of this huge clash of ideas between traditional faith and our evidence-based scientific world. And it is completely reshaping what people, especially younger people, are willing to believe in. And this slide, it just lays it out so clearly. The old model, for so many people, was just inheritance. I believe this because my parents did. Simple. But the modern test is completely different. It's a direct challenge. Is this belief system actually better than science? Is it more useful, more true, more compelling? That's the new bar.
And the takeaway here is pretty brutal, actually. Any belief system that can't offer something more compelling or more coherent than what science already gives us, well, it's just not going to make it. This is basically the great filter for belief in our time. If a religion can't hold its own in this comparison, it's going to fade away.
All right, so where does all this leave us? Well, it points toward a future where people aren't just accepting what they're given. They have a whole new set of demands for any spiritual path they might choose to walk down. The expectations have totally changed. At the end of the day, it's about this. People have become incredibly pragmatic. They don't want to pour their time, their energy, their whole life into something that doesn't deliver real, tangible value. Life's just too short to waste on beliefs that don't hold up under pressure. So what do people actually want from a spiritual path these days? It really comes down to these four things. They want something that's effective. It has to actually work and make a difference in their lives. They want it to be fast, giving them clarity without a lifetime of confusing study. It needs to be easy enough to understand and apply. And of course, it has to be correct. It has to line up with the truth.
And that all leads us to the final, really important question we have to ask ourselves no matter what we believe. In this age of incredible knowledge and complexity, can your personal framework for reality, can your belief system truly stand up and answer the toughest questions of our time? Because that, right there, is the ultimate challenge for the future of faith.